Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really crucial and, frankly, deeply concerning topic that affects fundamental human rights. We're looking at a powerful new report from Human Rights Watch. It's dated June 30, 2025, and it details a pretty significant and, well, escalating situation in Russia. Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore the profound implications of Russia's designation of the international LGBT movement as an extremist organization. This isn't just some legal label, it feels like a strategic move. We'll look at how this has led to a shocking surge in convictions, the specific types of charges authorities are actually using, and the broader sort of chilling impact this is having on individuals and, well, Russian society as a whole.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating and deeply disturbing here is how this single designation, it came from Russia's Supreme Court in 2023, became effective in January 2024. How Human Rights Watch describes it as legal and factual mischaracterization of a diverse, decentralized global human rights cause. So think about that for a second. They've taken this global advocacy movement, which isn't like one single organized thing, and slapped an extremist label on it. That ambiguity, this sort of legal innovation, you could call it, it's really opened the floodgates for arbitrary prosecutions. It lets authorities basically weaponize the justice system in ways we haven't quite seen before in this context. It's a critical new front, really, in human rights violations.
That's a powerful point, the weaponization aspect. So what does this actually mean for people on the ground, like right now? The Human Rights Watch report says Russian courts have already issued, 101 extremism-related convictions, just linked to alleged participation in this so-called international LGBT movement, or even just for displaying its alleged symbols. Sounds like they're moving pretty fast.
Absolutely. The report highlights that authorities are weaponizing and misusing the justice system as a tool in their draconian crusade to enforce traditional values and marginalize and censor LGBT people. And when we talk about traditional values in Russia, we're referring to this broad state-backed ideology that increasingly criminalizes anything seen as deviating from a very narrow conservative social norm. We're seeing this play out through a mix of both administrative charges and much more serious criminal charges.
Okay, let's maybe start with those administrative charges first, because this seems to be where we really see the sheer breadth and, well, the seemingly arbitrary nature of this crackdown. You said 101 convictions total, and about 98 are these minor misdemeanor offenses. What kind of everyday things are suddenly getting people into serious trouble?
Well, a lot of these administrative offenses are for just displaying symbols that are very broadly associated with the LGBT movement, stuff like the rainbow flag, often just on social media. Human Rights Watch identified 81 individuals across 98 court cases convicted under Article 20.3 of the Russian Code of Administrative Offenses. And just for context, this article is usually for things like, jaywalking or petty hooliganism, minor stuff. But here, it's being turned against symbolic expression, like the common 6-color rainbow flag.
And it gets even more, I guess, absurd from there, right?
It really does. I mean, shockingly, there have been cases for displaying just a regular 7-colored rainbow, the kind you see in the sky after rain, or even the blue, pink, white flag associated with trans rights. The arbitrary nature is just striking. Take Anastasia Urshova, sentenced to 5 days detention in Nizhny Novgorod. Why? For wearing rainbow-colored frog earrings. Just earrings. Others fined for putting a rainbow flag in their window, or charged for taking a picture with a rainbow flag outside in the middle of the night. A teacher fined for a rainbow flag in a school's tolerance space. Even a prisoner sanctioned for showing or drawing one. The scope is just, breathtaking.
It's pretty unsettling to think how easily, a simple accessory or even just a natural phenomenon could lead to detention. And that's just the physical world. What about online? So much of our lives happen there now.
Right, and that's where the majority of these cases actually came from. Most convictions, 90 of them, were for online stuff, particularly on vKontakte. That's Russia's biggest social media platform, and Telegram. But they also look through Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, TikTok, even dating sites. This includes using the rainbow flag in memes, profile pictures, or just as an emoji. There's one particularly bad example. The head of an opposition candidate's campaign office got 6 days detention just for sharing a picture in a close friend's chat, only 11 people in it. Police apparently got access through a hacked account. So the dragnet is incredibly wide. And what's more, some cases weren't even explicitly supporting LGBT people. An admin of a xenophobic and homophobic Telegram channel got fined for posting a video of the Swedish military at a pride parade, charged with justifying extremism. Another person fined for including contact info for an LGBT support helpline in a post after that concert hall attack. again, charged with justifying extremism.
Wow. So it really sounds like almost anything could be twisted into an extremist symbol. And it's being applied with, well, alarming inconsistency and reach. What are the actual punishments for these administrative offenses then?
So the average punishment was about 8 days of detention. Some got the maximum, which is 15 days. Fines were also used, up to 2,000 rubles. That's roughly, what, US $25. But what's really concerning, and this is where the system really shows its teeth, is this concept of repeat offenses.
Ah, okay. This is where it gets, as you said, really interesting and much more serious. The report paints a pretty stark picture of this escalation, right? From administrative to criminal charges, especially for these repeat offenses. What's the mechanism there? How does a small fine suddenly become a prison sentence?
Yeah, that's the critical point. Under these 2022 amendments to Russia's criminal code, these are serious legal changes. They criminalized activities that were previously considered minor. So now, repeat displays of any banned symbol, it doesn't even have to be the same symbol as the first time. If it happens after you've served an administrative sentence, it's punishable by up to 4 years in prison. Human Rights Watch found 131 such convictions just in 2024 alone. The first known criminal conviction for a repeated display of the rainbow flag, for instance. That resulted in 6 months of compulsory labor and a ban on social media for the person. They deleted their accounts after that. And authorities aren't stopping there. They're opening full-blown, running an extremist organization cases now. There was one person already in prison, got an additional 6-year sentence, just for participating in and involving other prisoners in this quote-unquote LGBT movement.
That's truly alarming. What other criminal cases did the report highlight? Ones that really underscore this incredibly broad, almost arbitrary interpretation of running an extremist organization.
Well, there's the case of a doctor in the Ulyanovsk region. He was already facing a sexual coercion charge, but was also prosecuted for involving another man in the LGBT movement. Got an extra 3-year sentence for that. And perhaps the most tragic example, Andrei Kotov. He died by suicide in pretrial detention. He'd been charged with running an extremist organization for his company, Men Travel, which simply marketed travel services to gay men. And just recently, May 2025, 3 staff from 2 publishing houses were charged. Running an extremist organization just for selling fiction books that explored LGBT themes. They're facing up to 12 years in prison. These aren't just isolated incidents, you see. They really show the system's intent to criminalize the very existence of LGBT identity and expression.
Yeah, an incredibly broad interpretation. It's quite chilling. Beyond these arrests and charges, what else are authorities doing, to enforce this crackdown and kind of isolate LGBT individuals and allies?
Well, we're seeing police conduct dozens of raids. Raids on places popular among LGBT people. Bars, clubs, community centers. They record personal data. They examine phones and computers. It's clear intimidation. Plus, activists are being designated as foreign agents based on alleged links to this phantom international public LGBT movement. And that label, foreign agent, it's not just symbolic. It comes with severe restrictions, like really burdensome reporting requirements, public shaming. It further marginalizes people and organizations.
Okay, so you have the extremism designation. Then there's also Russia's existing gay propaganda law. The report touches on that too. How does that fit into the picture? Is it like a separate thing, or is it all part of one coordinated strategy? And what's the overall effect?
Well, it's absolutely part of a coordinated strategy. It's almost like a pincer movement, if you will. The gay propaganda law, remember, it originally banned positive or neutral depictions of non-heterosexual relations just to kids, but it significantly expanded in December 2022. Now it includes adults and any display or description of so-called non-traditional relations. So while the extremism label attacks the very idea of an organized LGBT movement, the propaganda law directly targets expression and information itself. In 2023 and 2024, there were 257 gay propaganda penalties. That's a huge jump from just 22 in the 2 years prior. Fines totaled over 63 million rubles, about US $780,000. And non-citizens, if they're convicted under this law, they face detention and mandatory deportation. Also, the fines under this law are much steeper than for displaying extremist symbols, up to 400,000 rubles, nearly $5,000 for individuals, compared to maybe $25 for a rainbow flag symbol. So some people are actually getting hit with multiple fines under both laws. It shows this kind of dual legal assault.
Wow, so between the extremism label and this expanded propaganda law, what does this all mean for the broader landscape of free expression and just information in Russia? It sounds like it must be leading to widespread self-censorship.
Precisely. That's exactly what Human Rights Watch calls erasure. The broad and deliberately ambiguous nature of Russian anti-extremism legislation. It's being used as a really powerful censorship tool. It fosters widespread fear and forces self-censorship on a massive scale.
Yeah.
There was a 2024 survey. It showed a staggering 82% of LGBT people in Russia perceived personal risks, and 88% felt directly affected by the government's LGBT plus censorship. The result, it's like a digital purge. Many people deleted posts, entire social media pages, or just locked them down, made them private.
And what's really chilling, I think you mentioned, that this can apply retroactively.
Yes, exactly. And that's a key sort of insidious legal tactic here. In 32 cases they reviewed, people were convicted for content published before the Supreme Court's 2023 Extremism decision. Some of this content was like 10 years old. Russian courts consider these unlawful online publications a continuing offense, meaning old posts can suddenly become new crimes. The European Court of Human Rights has actually ruled against Russia in similar cases before. They stated that imposing a responsibility to foresee future designations constitutes an impossible and unreasonable burden, and obviously creates a massive chilling effect. And this has real-world consequences beyond social media. It's led to a massive purge on Russian book markets. Publishers are asking bookstores to return or even destroy dozens of books, including international bestsellers, things that don't comply with these vague Russian laws or traditional values. It really is an attempt to erase an entire segment of identity in public discourse.
This deep dive into the Human Rights Watch report, it really illustrates so clearly how this designation, calling the international LGBT movement extremist, how it's profoundly reshaped the legal and social landscape for countless people in Russia, from, subtle symbols like those frog earrings leading to fines, all the way up to fiction books triggering serious criminal charges. The scope of this crackdown is just extensive, and it seems to be escalating. It feels like a calculated legal maneuver designed to suppress a whole segment of society.
It really highlights the profound implications, doesn't it? When a government uses its legal framework, uses the law itself to enforce very specific, narrow societal values. It impacts fundamental rights, expression, association, even just personal safety. The report urges international partners to, call on the Russian government to end this persecution, and for other governments to offer safe haven to those who are fleeing. What's really clear is that this isn't just about traditional values, quote unquote. It's about control. It's about censorship. It's about making an entire identity effectively illegal to express.
So what stands out most to you from this deep dive? Maybe it's that chilling effect you mentioned, the retroactive application of laws, or just the sheer breadth, the absurdity sometimes of what can be called an extremist symbol. And as you, the listener, reflect on this, maybe consider the broader implications, how information gets controlled, how dissent is stifled when legal definitions themselves are weaponized like this. If a drawing of a rainbow in a notebook or selling a classic book can be deemed extremist, what does that suggest about the future? The future of creative expression, independent thought, and the very concept of identity in environments like that. It really forces us to ask, what else could be deemed extremist next?